Good evening. I'd like to open the meeting for February 26th of the Old Bridge Town Council. We'd like to have a Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for a moment of silence and for a prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment of silence for our troops, both here and abroad, who are protecting our freedoms, for our first responders, for those who made the ultimate sacrifice, and this week for the people who were killed in Florida. And Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. At this time, I'd also, as we stand in silence, that we remember Terry Sporer, a longtime township employee. He passed away last week. She will be missed greatly by the town. She always had a smile. She was also our transportation coordinator, so she came in contact with the public a lot, and she was loved. So I'd just like to include her family in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Moment of silence, please. Mr. Murphy, the prayer.
O Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in the chambers. Give them quiet minds and hearts that they may hear thy voice. Help them to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give them strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right. And grant that they have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please be seated.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on Monday, March 5th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. Mrs. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Cahill?
Here.
Dr. Greenberg? Here. Mr. Merwin?
Present.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Pasquini?
Here.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Here.
Mrs. Council President Sohar?
Here.
9 present.
Okay. All right. Our first thing of order is Mayor with council concurrence. Appointment of Himanshu Shah to Business Administrator.
I'll move it.
Council President, I'd just like to make a statement.
Okay.
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. You know, tonight I would ask the council to take action tonight on the appointment of Mr. Himanshu Shah, who's sitting next to me, to the official title of Business Administrator. Mr. Shah has extraordinary credentials and a long history of employment with the Township of Old Bridge. He's respected and has been recognized by his peers. Mr. Shah has demonstrated and performed the duties of acting BA for the last 9.5 months. Over those 9.5 months, Mr. Shah has affirmed that he has the needed skill set. He has demonstrated a professional demeanor and a very professional work ethic. He has proven his ability to successfully manage the day-to-day operations of this town and also the financial obligations that this town also has. The day-to-day operations of the town continue to improve with Mr. Shah as the BA for our employees, and our services to our residents remain his top priority. The fiscal position of Old Bridge continues to improve with goal setting and milestones being set under his direction and management. Council, I could go on and on about Mr. Shah and what he brings to the office of the business administrator. He has played a vital role over the last 6 years in rebuilding this town, both financially and operationally. I know he has talked to all of you and is willing to listen to all of your concerns and address them. He's willing to help you all become better council members. I'm confident with your support, Mr. Shah will be successful in the BA position. you would be very hard-pressed to find a more qualified individual for this position. And you'd be even harder pressed to make a valid argument as to why he should not be appointed. We should not consider personal, we should not consider emotional, and you should not consider political. All those arguments are not in the best interest of this community. So I stand here tonight, and I sit here tonight, I'm sorry, that I ask you for your support in appointing Mr. Shah to Business Administrator, the Township of Old Bridge. Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Mayor.
need a second.
I'll second it.
I'd like to add a few comments, if I may. Is it appropriate to do so? Okay. I have known Mr. Shaw many years, for over 20 years, that I've been coming to council meetings, and whenever I had any questions, he was always available. And I was not a council member at that time. I've only been a council member for 2 years. But I can tell you, talking also to the staff, the people that work with him every day, they all say that they have made their lives better, where he raises the bar all the time and helps them perform better in their job. But not only that, I think he stands on his own merit. When someone's been in municipal government for 37 years, has worked in this town for worked in Old Bridge for 25 years, and he served under multiple mayors, Mayor Cannon, Mayor Phillips, Mayor Gillespie, Mayor Henry now. In good times and bad times, he's proven that he can rise above and solve and get the answer for any problem that we need. He is highly respected by all the rating agencies. He's been recognized by the New Jersey Municipal Management Association and received the award just this past fall in 2017 for Distinguished Service Award. Not only that, I think we have to think of also, by him taking this position, it is literally saving the town over $100,000. That is not an easy thing to do. And in times where times are tough right now, to find enough money for all the things that need to be done for the services for people, saving $1,000 is a lot. I know people have questioned, how can you be the business manager and also the CFO? Well, I've reached out to the DCA, which is the Division of Community Affairs in the state. They do not have a problem with it. I reached out to the League of Municipalities. They do not have a problem with it. So I ask that my council members join me tonight and approve this so the township can have a business administrator instead of just an acting business administrator. And during that time, working together with his staff, help them to get their certificates needed so then he could pass on the job of CFO in the future. I really feel confident in his ability. We all know him personally, and he's done a great job. And so I ask you for your support. Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
Okay, this does not have anything to do with Himanshu's qualifications. He is well qualified. He does a good job. He's done a fantastic job for our town for many years. Instrumental in turning the financial around in this town to where we're doing much better. We're on our way to getting a AAA bond rating. Kudos to Himanshu. However, there is a reason why there are two positions, a business administrator and a CFO, or director of finance. And the reason is that those positions inherently hold each other accountable. And when we're going to move to consolidate not only the power of one position, but you're losing the accountability, I feel that you're creating a situation where, in the future, it could cause a temptation for somebody to steal from the town.
Mr. Piscatty,
Of course,
excuse
Himanshu
me,
is
that
not-
is out of line.
I said in the future, Himanshu may retire in a couple of years. I'm not saying that about Mr. Shah. He is outstanding individual. He is an upstanding individual. He's
And I
honest.
urge you to vote for him.
This is not about voting for him. This is about voting for consolidating positions in the town. So I'm going to be voting no for this. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chairperson.
Yes, Mr. Merwin.
Well, I guess the first question would be, Mr. Shah, are you going to resign from your tenured position as the CFO if you are appointed?
No.
Okay. I've known Mr. Shah a long time also. I was an employee of the town for a long time. He does do a nice job. But as Mr. Pasquitti points out, there's some inherent conflicts. And if the DCA doesn't have a problem with that, then I got a problem with the DCA. I really don't care what the League of Municipalities has a problem with. Giving Mr. Shah the position of business administrator and CFO causes him to be the judge, jury, and executioner. And I think that goes way too far, giving somebody way too much authority. Like I said, I've been an employee here. I know the past, all right? And I'm not going to say anything further in public, but if you want to continue the conversation in executive session, I would have no problem reminding everybody of the problems in the past. So I'm going to join with Mr. Pasquitti and be voting no, just based upon the failure to give up his position of the tenured CFO.
Take a vote.
So,
Yes, Mr.
yeah, so I'd just like to comment. You know, I've been a council person for 10 years. I've interacted with Mr. Shah continually. I find him to be a person of character. You know, every time that I've spoken to Mr. Shah, he tries to do what's right for the town. And I can't believe that a council person would make those accusations against Mr. Shah. That is just abhorrent, and I'm just so frustrated by those comments that Mr. Pasquitti leveled against Mr. Shah. He's out of line. There's nothing wrong with voicing your concerns, but when you make an accusation like that, you are out of line. And I'm just disgusted by it. I'm going to be supporting Mr. Shah. Thank you.
Anyone on this side, Joe? How about on this side, no? Okay, well, I'll close the council comments on this by saying that I know Mr. Shah for over 30 years. I've worked with him, my past husband has also. He had the utmost respect for him, and I do as well. He can't always make the decisions that please everyone, and that's understandable given what he does. I think he tries to help every council member. I think he's gone out of his way. And I think that the mayor supporting him shows that's the person who has to work with him. That's the person that he sees all the time. So I think we should take what the mayor has said into consideration. And I want to thank you, Himanshu, for all the work that you've done during these past months as being the interim temporary person. And I see no reason not to make you the full-time person.
Council President, may I make a comment? I think that there is, when they say about the conflict and such an issues that is being raised here, is that they're forgetting that, you know, and I think it's more disrespectful to not to me, but to my staff in finance department, really, is what this statement says. I think that if anybody knows the history, and there's, you know, there's nothing to hide. When I came in 1993, what, you know, this place was like and how it was being run, and you had not one, no two, you had a CFO and a director of finance in this town. And you had $2 million cash deficit. You had a rating that was pulled, junk rating. That was always was when I first got here. And so I think that, you know, this whatever reasons this thing is talked about. I mean, I've been performing this service for the last 10 months, and I have done that in a similar capacity under Mayor Phillips, under Mayor Cannon at a time. So this is not new. But more importantly, I think there is one reason that I could do it is because I have such an excellent staff in finance department that we have over the years hired and trained them to be able to do that. And the goal is that there is a transition plan that Mayor and I have, and eventually that's going to take place, but it's going to take a time. So, but to me, the disappointing thing is that people thought that, you know, just because I am a judge and a jury or something, but in reality, I have this, such an excellent staff that allows me to perform this dual role. And no, I will not, let's look at this. And you're asking me to give up my 10-year position as CFO, really? Thank you, Mr. Council President.
Council President, I'd just like to close by saying that before you vote that, there is a little uniqueness with my administration, as in the past when the mayors were not here. I am here every day, and I can assure you that he is not the judge, jury, and the executioner. I can assure you that. Hamachu and I have a great relationship on a daily basis. And that's why I'm here asking you for his appointment, because we work good together. We get results. And as I said before, from what I heard from this day, is not one valid argument that you can make. They're just not valid at this point in time. Don't go back in the past and prevent Old Bridge from moving forward because of mistakes that were made in the past. They're not happening today. This is just from me. For this administration, when there's a change in mayoral, there will be a change in the business administrator. I would assume. You never know. But again, I don't want to be redundant, but the financial, everything is there for an appointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Question for legal.
Okay. Vote.
Mr. Lozier. Yes. The township ordinance and the state statute states that the mayor may appoint someone that does not live in town, but in order to serve, he must have a concurrence of the council. Is that not correct?
I believe you are.
All right, so he would need, so would we not need two resolutions here? One, appointing him and giving the concurrence of his appointment, and the other, giving him permission to live out of town?
No.
Why not?
Well, first of all, he's already employed here as a CFO. So if there was any exemption that was given, it might have been given then. And
one doesn't require it, one does. The business administrator's state statute and the township ordinance requires, in order to serve as the business administrator, he must get concurrence from the council in order to serve.
And that's what the resolution is for. He's asking for your advice.
There's two different questions.
I know what
one,
you're
he
saying.
can be appointed without living here because of the state statute. The other one requires the permission of the council for him to serve living out of town.
But
That's going to be in the resolution.
So you're asking two questions, and we just want to make sure everybody understands that. There's two questions being asked in that. One is, are we giving him permission to live out of town and become be serving as the BA? There are two different actions here. One is the mayor can appoint him even though he lives out of town. The other is the council has to approve him living out of town.
Mr. Moran, the resolution is to, the mayor's asking for your advice and consent to his appointment, and as part of that, you would be granting his ability to perform the service of living out of town.
Okay, now, Isn't there also the acting BA has a limit of 90 days?
I believe that's correct.
And we're here how many months? 8.5 months as the acting BA?
It was extended, I think, once or twice. I don't recall.
All right.
Mrs. Brown?
Abstain.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
No.
Mr. Murphy?
No.
Mr. Piscatty?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
No.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
4 yes, 4 no, 1 abstention. Approval of minutes.
All
Council
right.
President, I asked, and then I asked for an extension
Oh, yeah.
for business administration.
Okay. Oh, you want to do that step of the extension? To extend?
Question for the chair.
Is it? Can we do an extension now or no? Okay, so then we make a motion. Yes. Yeah, Mr. Merwin, go right ahead.
Has this position ever been advertised? When
Yeah.
and where?
I believe, and I don't have all the dates, it was advertised in a newspaper, I believe in LinkedIn and on the League of Municipality. Sometimes last year, May or June.
And did that advertisement say that they should be a resident of Old Bridge Township? No. No, I would suggest maybe we go out and advertise and do a complete search, especially the state legislators and the township fathers definitely thought that the business administrator should have some kind of skin in his game by putting in there that they should be a resident. Or if they weren't a resident, that the council would have to concur that they lived out of town. Now, we have not concurred that he could live out of town. So I think that we should advertise from our taxpayers who are paying for this position. And I'm sure in the township of 70,000 residents that we have quite a few people that are qualified for this position. Or Mr. Shaw could move into Old Bridge, and then it wouldn't be needed, but I think that's the items that we should be going out advertising.
I believe they said they did advertise, so at this point, the mayor has
Didn't
asked.
advertise for a township resident, though, which,
I don't think Mayor Phillips had a township resident. I don't think Mr. Jacobs lives in town. So if you want to remember your history in one incident, you should remember the whole thing.
Okay, let's not let this run downhill.
I would like to make a motion to extend his
Okay.
his position.
All right.
I'll second it.
Okay? Mr. Piscatty was the second on that. All right, so let's go to roll call. Stella?
Mrs. Brown? To extend the contract.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me?
Yes?
Can you repeat that again, the question? Is this to extend the contract?
Extension,
On
yes.
A table is for now?
To act as BA.
Okay. So we're tabling this and then bringing it back up again? Because
No.
extending it would be the same?
This is just to
Extension.
an extension for him to continue as
Okay,
BA.
I will abstain from that as well.
You're abstaining from that?
Yes, thanks.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
pass.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 abstention.
Next is approval of minutes of previous meetings. The first one was a special meeting, December 19th, 2017. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
What was that, Deb?
Debbie Walker seconded.
All right, you're going to have to tell me who.
Yep. Roll call?
Mrs. Brown?
Abstain.
Just, if I may, these are minutes from 2017.
Right.
So keep that in mind, please, when you vote, new people. Mrs. Brown?
Abstain.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Berg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Abstain.
Mr. Murphy?
Abstain.
Mr. Piscatty?
Abstain.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Abstain.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
Four
Can I
yes,
ask a question? If you
yes, and
are
5
not here,
abstentions.
if you're not here, but you read the minutes, I thought you were allowed to vote.
No.
Okay, that's not what I heard, but.
Okay. All right. Next would be the combined meeting of January 22nd, 2018. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Dr. Greenberg moved it, and Mr. Piscatty seconded.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next is the bill listing. Do I have a motion to accept the bill list?
I'll move it.
Second.
Mrs. Walker moved it, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Are we going to do a breakout, or are you just moving the whole thing?
No, we're going to do a breakout
What is this then? To do what?
to introduce it.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Merwin?
Abstain.
Mr.
Abstain.
Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes. Mrs. Walker?
8 yes, 1 abstention.
Accounts payable, February 26, 2018, $8,725,178.96.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, February 16, 2018, $904,636.69.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Piscatty.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg, sorry. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, February 16, 2018, $26,085.41.
Do we have a motion?
Do we want to do the
Breakout,
breakdown
please. I'm
first?
sorry. Yes.
Second.
Can we have a breakdown, please?
Yes, Council President, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
As Councilwoman Walker indicated, the total overtime for this pay period was $26,085.41. There was a small amount of overtime for snow-related overtime in Public Works of $3,870.59, and there was a snow-related overtime in Recreation Department of $410.33. For the Police Department, the total overtime for the sworn officer was $18,318.57. When you deduct for ETO, the net overtime for the police department is $17,349.77, representing 293.50 men and women hours. There was one lieutenant injured on duty. That's my report.
Thank you.
I need a motion.
Okay, motion.
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next is public hearing and ordinances for second reading. H1, it's a release reduction performance guarantee, Brunetti Glenwood Muse, known as Toby Gardens, LLC, Block 9000, lots 21 and 23. Postponement requested by developer until April 9th, 2018. Mrs. Shapiro?
Thank you, Council President. That application, it actually has some bit of work left on it, and so they had requested that they be postponed until the April meeting, so it gives them a little bit more time to then continue with their punch list and get everything complete. They will be noticing for that April meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, next one is H2, release reduction, performance guarantee, Foxborough Village 2, Incorporated, Block 16002, Lot 1.1, application number 43-12Z. Good evening.
Stephen Katz, KATZ, attorney for Foxborough. We have noticed and published in the paper. I've got proof of those mailings, and I'd like to present those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our request this evening is for the
Engineers
release of performance bond S05728. All work with respect to this bond has been completed.
Council President, this is a little bit different because the bonds for this roadway was actually bonded separate than the development it actually serves, which is Rolling Meadows subdivision. The bond, the total performance guarantee for Woodward Drive, which is the road and the guarantee that we're talking about here, is for a total amount of $56,595. Of which, in bond form, we have $50,935.50, 10% in cash deposit of $5,659.50, and that's for that total $56,000. The improvements along Woodward Drive were actually inspected by my department. We found everything to be completed satisfactorily. There's actually one revision in my memo. You'll notice at the end, my recommendation is for a reduction. It is not. It's for a release subject to a 2-year maintenance guarantee in the amount of $8,489.25, which represents 15% of that performance guarantee, and paying of any outstanding escrow fees, if any are applicable. The job was completed, and we're just asking for that 15%. The Rolling Meadows performance guarantee for the subdivision itself was released successfully in 2002. This portion is only for Woodward Drive.
Okay, so you are satisfied with all that's been done?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to open it up to the public if there's anyone out there that would like to speak on this topic.
Nicole.
No, seeing no hands, I'll close the public portion, and now I'll go to council. Anyone have any comments? Okay.
Madam President, I just had a question that the bond that I'm looking at was for a total amount of $88,538.56. So, and we never received an engineer's letter with regard to this. Are you suggesting that a portion of this bond has already been returned or released?
It looks like your performance bond number of SO5728, I believe that's what you have.
Yes.
Our records indicate that the bonds for Woodward Drive is SO4242, so I would have to check my records, but I believe that I am correct. And just for the record, there is, from the township clerk, a letter that was submitted to her from a resident on Rolling Meadows Court, which would not pertain to this bond itself, because it looks like it was for work in front of his home on Rolling Meadows Court. This is for a bond release for the performance guarantee associated with Woodward Drive. So I would have to check the bond number in this case, but I believe that, from what I remember, it is SO4242, but I have to check. Just to be clear, the guarantee on this application in my records is for $56,000 and change, and not the $80,000 that was recorded. Yeah.
I don't have. You want to table this until Monday's meeting?
Let's do
We have
that.
one coming a week away, to get that squared away. Counsel, you have an objection to that?
You need my attendance again?
I don't, from what I can see so far, there's been no objection with regard to the Rolling Meadows, or I'm sorry, not Rolling Meadows, the Woodward Drive portion, which is what our engineer is talking about. So I think that if you speak to her and we get that squared away, there would be no reason to bring you back in. There's nobody here tonight. There's an objection, but it apparently has to do with a completely different project.
No, if you may recall, the work was to be done by, it was to have been done by another developer. It was Mr. Bound and that property, and he didn't do it, so we had an agreement with him, so we did the work. And, but let's just see if
Are you
covered on the bond.
Are you talking about the address that the complaint came in on?
I'm sorry?
All right. You just said that there was supposed to be another developer do it, but then you did the work.
That was 15 years ago, correct.
But I'm saying, are you talking about the 12 Rolling Meadows complaint or no?
I don't know about that complaint.
Okay, all right.
No. Okay.
So then, I think that's the best that we can do this evening.
I have one comment.
Move the table.
No, I'm just,
Oh, Johnson, I'm sorry.
when the Rolling Meadows was built, they put a OBMUA manhole cover on between 20 and 18 Rolling Meadows Court, and that's a storm drain. Should have been a township cover. It's a minor thing, but they should have the right cover on there. I brought it up 6 years ago, and I don't think it's been fixed yet. Thank you.
Anyone else before we make a motion to table? Okay, I'll take a motion to table, please.
Motion to table.
Second.
Dave and
Mrs. Brown, to table?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
yes.
9 yes.
Thank you.
To table.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, counsel.
Good. Okay. Yeah, next meeting, please. Okay, thank you. Next is H3. You're welcome. H3, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, New Amsterdam Village Apartments, Block 4185, Lot 11, application number 2813Z.
Thank you, Council President. This application is actually for a community building for the New Amsterdam Apartments located off Westminster Boulevard and also Old Road. The site improvements associated with the application were actually pretty minimal. It was landscaping, parking area surrounding the building, and then drainage, which consisted of the items of the performance guarantee, the total amount of which was $105,231.42. Bond portion was $94,708.28. Cash portion was $10,523.14. It was actually inspected by the engineering department. And then there's a similar correction on my memo. It is not a reduction, it is a release, subject to a 2-year maintenance guarantee in the amount of $15,784.71, which represents 15% of the total guarantee.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone out there in the public that would like to come up and comment on this release? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion. And now, council, anyone have a comment or a question?
The question?
Yes,
Is
Mr.
the
Cahill.
applicant here?
I don't think so. They were notified, though.
They were notified. It's the council's, it's a longstanding,
Right.
we don't approve anything without the applicant being here.
Yeah.
So, unless, after everybody has a chance to speak, Madam President, I'd ask for a motion to table.
Yeah, no, I agree, Brian. I would like to table it as well. So let's see if anyone has any comments, and then we'll go from there. Anyone else comments?
I would just table it.
Okay, so,
I need a second.
I second the table.
Thank you. Mrs. Brown to table?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Abstain.
Excuse me?
Abstain.
Mr. Merwin?
Abstain.
Mr. Murphy?
He's off theirs.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
yes. Do we have a date, Stella, or
6, excuse me?
a date for this now?
No, I'll have to go back out.
Okay.
6 yes, 2 abstentions, 1 off the days.
Yeah. Next is ordinance for second reading. It's number 2018-03, ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge, amending Chapter 5, Article 3, by amending 5-21A6 by revising the number of topics that a member of the public can address during preliminary public comments. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Ms. Schetti.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any comments, or we're good?
I just want to say this is a great thing. I had proposed this when I was president 2 years ago, and it didn't pass. And I think that we should give the public as much opportunity to speak. You know, it's hard to get out sometimes at night, and I think this is a very good thing that we're doing.
Anyone else? I'm opening it to the public. Does anyone in the public wish to speak about this topic? Seeing no hands, close the public. Roll call.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next is preliminary public comments to council, subject to the following conditions and restrictions. During the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on one subject for a maximum period of 5 minutes. Any such person desiring to speak during the public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the Township Clerk for such purpose. Comments during the preliminary public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which comment or a public hearing is to occur at the meeting.
Brian Murphy?
There, okay. Good evening. First of all, since this ordinance just passed about speaking on more than one issue, is that allowed now? Right now?
No, it has to be memorialized.
Okay, good. 5 minutes wouldn't allow me to do that anyway. The issue, first of all, Brian Murphy, 40 Bushnell Road. I'm a lifelong resident of Old Bridge, and I am now raising my family in Old Bridge. I'm very proud of that, and that'll come up in my discussion tonight. I'd like to speak on the issue of allowing cannabis dispensaries in our town. I was not at the last meeting, and now I'm a little disappointed that I wasn't after watching it on YouTube. And also, cannabis dispensaries, can we call them what they are? They're pot stores. I mean, as a kid growing up in Old Bridge, we didn't get our marijuana paraphernalia from marijuana paraphernalia dispensaries. We got it from the Stone Crow and the Head Shop. That's how long I've been here. So let's not mask it with nice little names. What I saw at this last meeting absolutely disgusted and appalled me. And I'm a little shocked and a little disappointed in this council that they accepted what they saw at this meeting. We had some people here speak in favor of this issue. I really don't have even though I don't agree with them, I don't have an issue with people speaking in favor of it if they want to. It was the people who spoke on this issue. 6 people spoke on the issue, all in favor. Nobody not in favor of it. All 6 people were non-residents of this town. Not one of them was a resident. They stood here watching it on YouTube. Lovingly, I said to my wife, I call them Cheech and Chong and they're Merry Stoners, which is exactly what they were. The next day I went and I kind of researched them. All 6 of these people, they might have masked it a little bit with medical marijuana, which I'm in favor of, and spoke eloquently. They're all part of the same group. And they go from town council meeting to town council meeting, and they speak on this. What do we care? What do we care what they have to say? If a township resident got up here and wanted to speak in favor of that, I wouldn't agree with them, but I would listen to them. They stood here and they demanded this council to put cannabis dispensaries here. They threatened this council by saying they're watching you. I am right now the parent of 3 very young children. This is my issue. I get the pros of this, totally understand. Big revenue source. I get that. But at what cost? At what cost to our citizens? At what cost to our children? I understand you put this to ballot, you lose big time. I know where this town is going with this, and I understand that. But I have to get my voice out here. My oldest child right now is in 6th grade, and my wife and I are just talking to him about the danger she's about to embark on all this. Am I naive enough to think that since we tell him not to, he's not going to? We can only instill our values in him. He's going to do what he wants. Pot stores on the corner is an open invitation. Here you go. It's there for you. Do what you want. Cheech and Chong and their Merry Stoners, their biggest defense was alcohol, cigarettes. We get all that. That ship is passed. It's passed years ago. It's not coming back. You're not getting rid of that. So instead, let's add to it. That's exactly what they're saying. Get rid of that. Since we could do that, since we can have bars, let's put pot stores on every corner. Growing up, Mr. Mayor, you were not here. I watched it on YouTube, but I didn't see you at that meeting, did I? Oh, he was at the meeting. Okay. At the last meeting. Yeah, no, because one of the people up here, I wonder why, kept motioning over there and calling Mayor Henry by his name. Well, that person also had other issues. Really? Already? That's 5 minutes? Wow. Okay, so I'm against this. Can I come back with this later? Okay, thanks for listening to me.
Nobody else signed up.
Okay.
Oh, see?
All right.
Plenty of time, nobody else signed up.
Okay, now we'll move on to council member comments. I'll start on, sorry, so I'll
okay.
start on, oh, wait, oh,
Unorthodox, but I actually would like to make an announcement on that, even though I didn't.
The end of the
sign up.
meeting, the end of the meeting.
yeah, at this point,
Just regarding, so he could attend and other people could attend the state, that's all. There's a meeting in the state this next.
Okay,
yeah, thank
can't
you.
do that.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll move on to council member comments. I'll start on my left over here, gentlemen, ladies. Anyone?
Madam Chairperson.
Yes, Mr. Irwin?
Yeah, I would respectfully request that I get a copy of the advertising for the BA position. The advertising that went out, where it went out, and when it went out. And also a copy of the extensions of the 90 days, all the extensions for the 90 days. So there should have been 2 other ones. All right?
All right,
That's it.
okay. Anyone else on this side of the dais have comments? Okay, Councilman Zoll.
Good evening. Mr. Murphy, I can assure you no one here is going to be intimidated by the crew that was here. The ordinance is moving forward. Old Bridge residents come first. Like I said, children before profit. Even look into this further, due to the fact that marijuana is a Schedule I CDS, controlled dangerous substance, on the federal books. Federal institutions is going to be a big question whether a federal institution can even accept drug money. So I talked to a president of one bank. He told me he's not even allowed to accept the money at this time. So there's going to be a lot of issues involved. I can assure you, no one here is going to be intimidated, and it's moving forward. Thank you.
All right, and on this side of the dais? Mrs. Walker?
Yes, I just want to say, if any of you at home, the zoning board and planning board meetings have been televised. I've actually received some emails. People are very thankful. But also, I didn't realize that they're all on YouTube video as well, so you can follow up and watch them on YouTube as well.
Okay, anyone else on this side? I'll close the council comments. Board of the Township Clerk?
Just basically a comment, it's just a reminder for the newly elected council persons. If you haven't already done so, please file your financial disclosure statements as soon as possible. Thank you.
Report of the Township Attorney?
None.
Administrative report?
Thank you,
Mr.
Council
Mayor?
President. You should have received a copy of the administrative report. I'm gonna omit the first 3 items. They will be discussed at length. They're very lengthy to read, but they will have public meetings on their own. Item number 1 is the municipal budget. Item number 2 is the capital bond ordinance and for general improvements. And item number 3 is the 2000 cap index ordinance. They will all be before the council at later dates. I will start with item number 4, the 2018 winter storm events and related costs. We've had 5 winter storm events have impacted the township of Old Bridge. The township has spent to date $316,986.67 on snow and ice and snow removal operations, which include the cost of salt, outside contractors, and employee overtime. We will provide another summary report at the end of March. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG, 2018 Action Plan. The Township of Old Bridge is in the process of preparing the annual action plan for the CDBG program, year 2018. The first public hearing was held on February 22nd. A second public hearing is scheduled for April 12th at 2 p.m. Township Administration Building right here, 1 Old Bridge Plaza. Hard copies of the draft plan documents will be available for public inspection in the Department of Community Development and the Old Bridge Public Library on or about March 30th. It is anticipated that the final action plan will be authorized by the Township Council at the May 7th council meeting and submitted to the Middlesex County Home Program Consortium and the HUD Regional Office as soon as after that meeting. Middlesex County Residential Paper Shred. On Saturday, March 24th, the Township of Old Bridge, in conjunction with the Middlesex County Board of Chosen Freeholders, will be hosting the residential paper shred from 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the Township Department of Public Works, located in the municipal complex. This mobile paper shredder service is open to Middlesex County residents only. Please note this is for confidential documents. All other papers and junk mail can be placed in your recycling container. For additional information, residents should contact Middlesex County Solid Waste Management at 732-745-4170 or email the recycling department, publicworks@oldbridge.com. New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, NJDEP Blue Acres Program. The NJDEP Superstorm Sandy Blue Acres team began extending buyout offers to homeowners in Old Bridge Township in April of 2015. A total of 29 buyout offers have been extended to date. 26 of the 29 offers have been accepted. 3 offers have been rejected. Demolition of 12 out of 29 properties has been completed. Hard copies of the February 20th NJDEP Old Bridge Buyout Status Summary Report has been forwarded to the Township Clerk's Office for distribution to the Council. Item number 8, Safe Cities Report. Patch.com released a list where Old Bridge Township School District made 8th out of 200 safest school districts in New Jersey last month. Last month, Safe Home ranked the Township of Old Bridge as 14th safest city in the state of New Jersey. Item number 9, Health and Wellness Initiative. At the beginning of the month, we kicked off the Mayor's Health and Wellness Initiative, encouraging all township employees to live a healthier lifestyle. The Health and Wellness Fair took place at the Old Bridge Township Library Meeting Room, where employees were able to interact and learn information from health screenings, restaurant owners and chefs, therapists, doctors of chiropractic medicine, gym trainers, and professionals. The initiative, packed with informational sessions and seminars, will continue for the next 2 months. Council, that concludes my administrative report. If anyone has any questions to items on that report or would like have any questions on any other issue, we will get you the information.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Do I have a motion to accept the administrative report, please?
Move it.
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? Mrs. Council President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, now we're moving on to the consent agenda.
Madam Chairperson, just one question for the mayor.
Sure.
On the, I see that we missed the one meeting. Can we possibly be advised of those meetings prior?
Which one?
For the cover, the
CD.
CDBG.
The CDBG?
Number 5.
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, we'll notify you for the next meeting, April. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, so we're moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have any separations?
Yes, I'd like to separate C2.
C2? Okay.
C7.
I'd like to separate C2.
C2?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then Mrs. Walker is C7. C1 is Mr. Merwin.
5 and 6, just for clarification.
Oh, boy, that's a lot.
Okay. So we do public first or not? Okay. So I need a motion for the balance.
For the balance, which is
C3,
C4.
C4, and C8.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Do we have anyone from the public that would like to speak on these 2 items? Seeing no hands, we'll close the public portion. Roll call on the balance, Stella?
Roll call.
Yes.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquini?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay,
On the
first,
balance.
yep. First separated is C1, Mr. Merwin.
Yes, Mr. Shaw had, the last time I had a question on the change orders, and it was in the negative. He said, well, I hope you make sure that the public knows when we have them in the positive. So this is why I brought it out. I want to commend Pioneer for coming in at about almost $9,000 less. And maybe you can explain how that happened, or...
They actually didn't come in $9,000 less. They came in at the bid of $103,000 and change. When we were going through the project during construction phase, we realized some savings can be done, and we saved about $8,000 and change. So this is not a payment; it's just sort of housekeeping.
In-house did this, not... then thank you. I'll move it if nobody else has a question.
Is anyone from the public have any questions?
I need a second.
A second, please.
Second.
Mr. Piscitty?
Okay, Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquini?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, C2, Ms. Brown?
Yes, hi. I actually just wanted to ask, was the builder's agreement available since this was initially established a long time ago? Like 30 years, right? Or
Forever.
for C2?
C2?
C2.
The agreement between the HOA and the builder?
Yeah, C2.
This is just a resolution to approve us to create the agreement. We haven't created the agreement yet.
Okay.
So it's just a resolution to produce the agreement.
Okay, so there was none actually made yet? Okay.
No, no.
Okay, all right, no problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll have to come back to it.
Just one question.
Yes, Mr.
Mr. Shapiro, just the fourth paragraph, I think I'm fairly certain I know what it means, but I want to make sure, when you say conditions precedent, what are we talking about there?
Remember at the last meeting, I had said that they had to do some upgrades to the property.
Right.
They also have to name Old Bridge Township as additionally insured. They have to give us rights to access their property. There were a couple of items in my memo that I said that they have to fix before we would take over those maintenance responsibilities. Those would actually be itemized in the agreement with them, and then we would say, you know, what we would do as far as maintenance going forward.
Great, thank you. I thought that's what it was. Thank you.
Okay. Is anyone else have any comments?
Just one question. This will have to come back to us after it's a done agreement, or?
Agreement prepared by our township attorney, and then the HOA's attorney, and the HOA itself. I'm not sure how it works, if it would come back or not. I believe it's just the township.
Normally it would
attorney.
not.
Yes. No, it would not. No.
Does anyone else? Comments? In the public, anyone from the public want to be heard? Seeing no hands, I'll close the public portion.
Mr. Merwin, if you'd like to see it before, I'll be more than happy to share it with you, or any other council people.
I just had to, you know, we had a lot of questions about whether that $24,000 was going to, you know, be enough or take care of it. And so that's why, if you made the agreement, if that had to come back to us, but evidently we've decided it was enough.
The amount is based on the ordinance by the formula, so, you know, it will not change. It's not going to be enough forever, but it's going to be enough for, long term.
But it was also if there was a devastating or a catastrophic failure of the drainage, that we were going to be on the hook, right?
Yes, but again,
Weren't required to continue carrying an insurance policy on this, or for catastrophic failure, or?
again, it's an above-ground detention basin, so there's not many components of maintenance on it besides cutting the grass. any defect that we have found so far, the HOA would be responsible to bring up to date. For example, if their trash rack associated with the outlet structure isn't there, they'd have to construct one. So we'd basically be starting from as if new.
Anyone else? Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
A motion to move it.
I'll second it. I'm sorry, Dr. Greenberg and Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
No.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay. Next would be C5, Mr. Merwin.
Yeah, Mr. Cahill was kind enough to point out, one is, C5 is what, putting the group together, we're going to approve that in the fair and open, and then 6 is awarding one?
Yes.
Okay.
5 is qualifying, and then 6 is specifically, attorney's award.
That was my only question.
Okay, so we
Want to move it?
you want to move both, Dave, or?
I'll make a motion for 5 and 6.
Okay, second?
I'll second 5 and 6.
Okay, Mr. Cahill, second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
C7, Mr. Merwin.
That was me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was me.
Mrs. Walker, I'm sorry, Deb.
That's okay. I just want the public at home to know what this is, because if we just pass it, they're not going to have an idea. So, Mr. Shaw, would you please explain to the public because this is something good?
I will. Basically, Marlborough Township has a swimming pool that they had reached out to our recreation director, Matt, as well as myself, and offering us at a discounted rate for the use of their swimming pool facility by the Old Bridge residents, that anybody would like to use it during the summer season. And our recreation director has already made sure that he discussed with our Y in town who has a swimming pool. But other than that, there is no other facility with the outdoor swimming pool facility available for the summer. So we thought it was a good idea, another opportunity for the township residents to use a facility, and so we recommend this approval of the shared service agreement.
So what would it entail? Would they have to go through our rec department, or would they go through Marlboro?
I believe that.
Yes.
They would go right through Marlboro. If this is passed, then Marlboro would give us their documents that we would share, obviously, through our online registration system, and we would also do a press release. They have the same shared service agreements right now with Colts Neck and with the township of Manalapan. And really, for lack of a better term, it's a VIP out-of-town rate that they're giving us that other out-of-town people would not get that benefit of.
I've been there. It's a nice, very nice pool.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments on it?
Yes, just a comment.
Sure.
So, Matt, this is a really good job.
Yeah.
I don't know who approached who, but this is the epitome. This is what shared service is all about, and I think it's just a great job. So, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. That's very, very good. Very good job.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay.
I don't know. Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Off the dais.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next is ordinances for first reading. FR1, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements, appropriating $4,853,400, and authorizing the issuance of $4,653,400 $610,300 bonds or notes for the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
FR2, ordinance to establish the municipal budget appropriation limits and a cap bank, NJSA 40A, semicolon 4-45.14, for the CY 2018.
I'll move it.
Second.
Question.
First reading.
First reading, usually.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Merwin, sorry. Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next is FR3, amending and adopting revisions to the official zoning map of the Township of Old Bridge in accordance with Chapter 250 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge, specifically Section 250-35, entitled Zoning Map, as per irregularities found by the Middlesex County Office of Planning, Department of Infrastructure Management.
Move it.
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Abstain.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 abstention.
Next is FR4, acceptance of right-of-way dedication to be granted to the Township of Old Bridge for purposes of future road widening along frontage of 402 Spring Valley Road, Block 21004, Lot 15.11.
Move it.
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next is budget introduction. 1, authorizing the 2018 budget to be read by title only at public hearing.
Mr. President, if I may, there's 2 resolutions for our introduction of the budget, and basically it's just allowing us to read by title and then actual introduction of the 2018 budget. So I'm just going to summarize for the council. The 2018 municipal budget is scheduled for introduction at tonight's council meeting. The total general appropriation for 2018, including municipal library purposes, is $55,348,999 compared to $55,169,099 in 2017 as modified. The proposed municipal tax rate for 2018 is estimated to be 0.979 cents, which reflects the increase of 0.008 cents over 2017. For an average home in Old Bridge of $154,015, the proposed municipal tax increase would be $13 from $1,495 in 2017 to $1,008 in 2018. The proposed library tax rate for 2018 is estimated to be 0.078 cents in 2018, which reflects an increase of 0.006 cents over 2017. For an average home in Old Bridge assessed at $154,015, the proposed library tax would be $9. Proposed library tax increase would be $9, from $111 in 2017 to $120 in 2018. The library appropriation is statutory, fixed by the state, but it's included in the municipal budget. The proposed tax rate for both municipal and municipal library purpose for 2018 is estimated to be $1.057, which reflects a tax increase of 0.014 cents over 2017. For an average home in Old Bridge assessed at $154,015, the proposed municipal and municipal library tax increase would be $22, from $1,606 in 2017 to $1,628 in 2018. The Township Council has a tentative schedule, a council budget subcommittee meeting for March 7, March 14, and March 21st to review the proposed budget in more detail. A formal presentation and public hearing on the municipal budget are scheduled for April 9, 2018 council meetings. Council member, I left the blue sheets with the council workshop schedule on a day as you already received the budget books with the detailed budget information. The subcommittee meetings are open to all council members, and we are looking forward to council input.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Next is CY 2018 budget introduction. And this is all of it, right? Okay. Thank you. Okay, public comments next.
Yeah. We need to vote on both of those resolutions.
We have to vote on this.
Yeah, we're going to vote on this first, and then we'll go public comments. Okay, so do I have a motion for this?
I'll move it.
Second.
Anita, was that you?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
that was you?
Mhm.
This is for the budget intro, the hearing, I'm sorry, the hearing. Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kale?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes. And then the budget introduction.
Okay, so next is CY 2018 budget introduction.
Move it.
Second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kale?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes. 9 yes.
Okay. Next will be public comments on any subject matter. Does anyone wish to come up and be heard?
Good evening. Good evening, Alan Rosencrantz, David Drive, Old Bridge. I just wanted to make a comment to the council on earlier tonight, the appointment of Himanshu Shore as a business administrator. I know there's 4 council people up here who've worked with Himanshu for the last multiple years, 10 years, 8 years. The League of Municipalities gave him an award last year at the league for his accomplishments and his knowledge. If there's anybody in this town who knows the finances any better, I challenge anybody to bring that person up, whether you want to advertise it for a business administrator or not. He's been here for a long time, as he said. He knows the ins and outs of the books. The mayor works with him constantly for the last 6 years, and they have a good working relationship. If the mayor didn't think Himanshu was doing a good job, he probably would not have made him the acting business administrator, or for that matter, recommended him for the business administrator. And to Himanshu's credit and his department also works well with the mayor and the other departments to keep the township books in order and to get us a AAA or close to a AAA rating as possible, and to keep our taxes and our increases as low as possible. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that wished to be heard? Yeah, yeah.
What? Oh, no, go ahead, and then Murphy.
Yeah, let her go first. She's here.
Person who spoke up.
We need her
Hi,
name.
Nina Jachnowitz, 203 West Greystone Road. Hi, neighbor. On Monday, there is a meeting down in Trenton for people who want to hear about what the state's plans are or thinking about for marijuana. So before the council votes on things that they are
Monday.
for or against, they may want to head down there. I can send them the information, or I can tell you right now. Do you want me to tell you right now, Mary?
You can give it to us, we'll mark it down.
Okay, hold on a minute. I'll pull it off my calendar. Sorry. It's in Trenton. It's at the, it's a committee meeting, Oversight and Reform Federal Regulations. So it will cover some of the things that people were concerned about. Mark, for instance, and I don't know the gentleman's name he spoke before. Room 13, 4th floor, State Annex, 2 to 4 p.m. It's an open meeting to all people in the state of New Jersey, and hopefully we won't have people who are just showing up who want to march down, but actually make decisions on what could be done. Anyway, whether you're for it or against it.
Thank you for the information. Anyone else?
Still only one issue, even in this session? Okay. Brian Murphy, I haven't moved since I was up here earlier, so I'm still at the same address.
All right.
I want to actually address a couple of council people and actually commend them. It doesn't usually work that way here. First of all, on the issue I spoke about earlier, and I said I was a little bit disappointed at this council for letting that go by, but I'd like to commend Mr. Rizzoli for when they were done speaking, telling them he really doesn't care what they think. Take it to their own town. If they want to have it in their own town, that's fine. So I commend you on that. Another thing, I'm going to quote you from last meeting, Mr. Rizzoli. You said your job was to protect the residents of Old Bridge. If people come here and are offended by that, then I'm sorry. Don't ever be sorry about that. I know you didn't mean that way, but don't ever be sorry about protecting people from Old Bridge. That's what you're here for. Also, on that same issue with Mr. Rizzoli, there's not a lot of people here tonight. There's never a lot of people here tonight. I know you say the meetings are on the paper, public. I wasn't here last week because I didn't know there was a meeting. I go on oldbridge.com all the time, and I found it afterwards, wondering when the next meeting was, by Googling a calendar. And it was not on the website. It was on the website, but under calendar. Maybe a suggestion to put it right on the front page every 2 weeks or every week of oldbridge.com when the next meeting is. I don't know if it'll make a difference. More people will show up, and maybe other council members can follow suit. But Mr. Rizzoli sent out a Happy President's Day postcard to, I'm assuming, everyone in Ward 4. I don't know if you did. And the back of that is the date of all the meetings coming up. And I know people in my neighborhood actually mentioned that on Facebook. So thank you for that. Now I know when the meetings are, so you're not getting rid of me. The next thing I want to talk about is I want to address Mr. Murphy. At the last meeting, Mr. Murphy felt compelled to speak up that he was embarrassed about what happened in the previous meeting. And he also mentioned that he was asked to join this council and he thought it would be more cohesive. I'm 58, so I believe you've lived in the town for 58 years, and I know you most of the time. Did you really think you were going to change this town and this council? I was hoping you did too. And you said that you were always thought of as a troublemaker. You've always been the troublemaker. Don't stop, because the voices need to be heard. My voice will always be heard. I don't know if people here are familiar with Old Bridge Parents on Facebook. They have over 10,000 members. I was voted the most annoying member of those 10,000 people on Old Bridge Parents. Well, that means I'm very opinionated. So you be the troublemaker there. I'll be the troublemaker here. And we'll call it the Murphy Plan. and we'll be good with that. Don't stop talking, otherwise nothing will get done. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the public that wishes to come up and speak? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion. Next is A1, an appointment for the Recreation Advisory Board. Term expires 12/31/2019.
I'd like to nominate William Vesey, please.
I'll second it.
Yes.
No, I just want to say I know Willie for a very long time, and he does an outstanding job, and I couldn't think of a better person for this board.
Okay.
Yeah,
Roll call.
absolutely. Bill's very involved with the Just for Kicks soccer program. He volunteers so much of his time, and I think he's going to be a great asset to the board.
Yeah, I do as well. Roll call.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next is discussion. D1, Cottrell Farms, Town Center Zone. Mr. Merwin.
Yes. I think it was back in 2000, the town center was developed, and it took a long time. There was a lot of back and forth. Denmere Cannon thought that it was going to be the next great thing for Old Bridge Township. Then Mayor Phillips became mayor, and he negotiated the purchase of Cottrell Farm, which is the heart of the town center zone. And the whole idea of that town center zone is that they're self-contained communities. You know, they have their own stores, they have their own residential component, they have their own, some of their own theaters, and that the big thing about it is you're able to walk throughout it, and you know, from one to another. And so what has happened is we took the whole heart of the town center zone, and it's now a park, which I'm thankful for, because I think Cottrell Farm is going to be a jewel for the township of Old Bridge. But what we're seeing is little pop-ups, like Vision Stream down the street, where you have the apartments up top, the stores on the bottom, and the stores are empty. And it's just not working out. And I think that what they're using it for is the residential component and not the commercial, which we so sorely need in this town. So I am requesting that we also spoke about the EDO1 and the EDO3, which are not much different in their philosophies, and that the EDO1 and the EDO3 have the residential component in it now. And it seems that's what we've become, the apartment capital of New Jersey. And what I would like to see is maybe we can add this to that committee. I don't know if that would be proper, the EDO1 and the EDO3. Can we put the town center zone into that committee and work with the planning board and come up with some ideas or new ideas? As Madam Chairperson, I don't know if that, maybe legal, we could ask legal, would that be?
Yeah, I just want to check first with legal.
Mr. Moran, I'm going to have to get back to you on that. You want to involve?
We already have the committee for the EDO1 and the EDO3 for.
You want to move council or the town center into that? Is that what you're...
Yeah, for the discussion purposes, for coming up and maybe coming up with different ideas or or if that has to be separate, then there should be a committee for that. But if the one committee could handle it, it'd be, instead of putting extra on people.
If you wanted to, I don't think there's no legal basis to prohibit you from including that as part of that committee.
Since it's a council-only
It's an
committee.
issue discussion that you're going to bring up, and, the committee's going to make its decision based on all the information they get. So if you, how many are on the committee now?
4.
4 council.
4 council members.
4 council members.
It was going to be my suggestion that maybe we invite the chair of the planning board, maybe the chair of the zoning board, to sit on this, and somebody from administration or Nicole.
Well, I believe, Mr. Biscotti, were you going to reach out to Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so then will you also include the planning board, zoning board as well?
Yes, I will.
Okay, then.
All right. So it's all right with chair that gets added to that?
Yes.
I believe Dr. Greenberg had her hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to just speak for a minute, because the history is very important to know things, and facts are very important to know things. We are all glad that Cottrell Farms is going to be remained in open space. But we have to be serious when we talk about things. Barbara Cannon, Mayor Cannon, saw that as a jewel to do that. And in fact, when you have open space, there are 3 levels of financing it: local, county, and state. So we had an opportunity to buy that land, I think, and correct me, I think for $2.7 million. And she went to the county. And at that time, Mayor Phillips was the treasurer of Middlesex County, and he refused to assist her in acquiring that property for $2.7 million. Fast forward, okay? Then Herbie Cottrell, who owned the property, then said, okay, I'm going to find a seller for my property if the town doesn't want it. We recognized it as a jewel. Barbara Cannon recognized it as also a wonderful deal for $2.7 million. She was turned down by the county. Now, elections come. They're really funny. Everyone's stamping around, overdevelopment, overdevelopment, okay? So now they already got the proof of the land went up. Now the township buys it. Mayor Phillips is the mayor and also the county treasurer. We paid $10.9 million for it when we could have had it for $2.7. Think of the savings there if he had only said yes the years before, and think how much more we would be ahead. So history is important and facts are important. So we'll leave that. The town center concept, what I want to also say, Vision Streams that everyone's complaining about on 516 with the stores on the bottom and the apartments on the top. I'll tell you the history of that. That was in front of the planning board, and Councilman Dave Merwin was on there, and I actually looked it up. I think he made the motion to approve it. So all of a sudden now apartments aren't fashionable. Economics change, things change, people own properties, but let's say the facts. I wasn't for apartments on top of the stores there. I wasn't for that piece of property that had a lot of problems with drainage and everything else, but it did get approved, and there are stores there and there are apartments. So let's be serious about this now. Right now, no houses, no apartments can be built on Cottrell property. That was made, that came forward with open space funds from the state and the county. Once that happens, it remains an open space. So that's the history of it. So let's get a wonderful project going there, which we saw a plan for, and utilize the property and preserve it for the future for everyone to enjoy in Old Bridge forever. Thank you.
Madam Chairperson.
Ms. Brown, please let everyone speak.
Well, I surely can't let that go and not be, first off, I agree. It is the jewel of the township, and it should be developed into a fine park. As far as the other thing is, the Vision Stream, she's 100% correct. I voted for it. And the reason I voted for it is because that's what our zoning laws called for. Right? That's exactly what the planning board does. They hear applications that are under the master plan, and that was in the master plan. And I believe it was Dr. Greenberg that sat on that planning board that approved those things. She may forget that, but
No, I didn't forget anything.
oh,
Look at my
okay, all
vote.
right, yeah.
Okay.
So we just want to make sure that history is correct. All right.
You've
you
now
know.
made your comments. Thank you.
And so it was approved because that's what a planning board has to do. If not, you wind up in court and the judge gives it to you. It conforms, you approve it. It conformed, it got approved. Believe me, if it had gone the way the developer wanted, they would have been 2- and 3-bedroom apartments. And if she goes back and does read that application, she'll know that it was Councilman Merwin that made sure they were mostly 1-bedroom apartments. So thank you, Dr. Greenberg, for our little history lesson here.
Okay.
All right,
thank you.
we need to get rid of the town centered
I'm glad to
ordinance.
help.
That's what we need to get rid of, not the not the Cottrell Farm. We need to get rid of the applications that may come before us that call for those apartments and stores.
Okay.
That's what I said. Nothing else. Don't try to muddy it. That's what I called for.
All right. Anything. You made your comments now. You asked to have a committee. We're going to see, does anyone else have comments on this discussion item?
Yeah, we don't have to worry about apartments coming to Cottrell Farm because it was bought with open space money.
Right. Mr. Murphy.
Okay, Councilman Greenberg took some of my thunder. I didn't realize about how involved Mr. Merwin was, Councilman Merwin, but I just want to say, being that was done one at a time where they put the apartments on top of the stores, I think that was actually a godsend. I hope there's no more approved like that. It showed it does not work. Nobody will open a store under it, where I thought nobody would rent over it, but that's for more like a city. I will never, ever vote for apartments on top of the stores, and I don't think anybody else in the town should, and I'm going to leave it at that.
That is why we need it removed.
I mean, Mr. Merwin, everyone has the chance to speak. This is your third time. Just please let everyone else make their comments. Thank you. Anyone else have comments to be made? Okay. All right. We have decided this is where this stands, this discussion item, the EDO zones. You're going to look into it, Mr. Paschetti?
Yes, I was busy the last couple of weeks. We met with the cable. We were very successful meeting with the cable people, and I didn't have time to carve out some time for the EDO. And now I have to reach out to other people, so it might be a little more difficult to schedule some time.
I'm sorry?
In their schedules. Yes.
That has... Okay, then we'll close this and we'll move on to discussion item number 2, vaping, which is Mr.
Merrill. I am not one for government getting involved in everybody's personal life, but I think that the vaping has taken on its own negative light or negative life. It's become a problem in the schools. They're having to take action. And these stores are just popping up all over the place. And if everybody might agree, I would ask legal to come up with something that, A, would address the age of purchasing, the vaping materials and the paraphernalia that goes along with it, and the locations that they can open up. as, close to schools and pretty much like we want to do with the marijuana. Because the vaping has, they're taking the drugs, they're putting the drugs into the vaping, and they're doing it that way. And so hopefully everybody agrees, and if not, okay.
What is your, he's asking for restrictions and age
Well,
and so on.
I'm sure there are state statutes that I'll have to review that control this type of action. So let me do that research, and I'll have that for you at the next meeting.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments before we close this? Good. Okay. So he's going to do some research. Thank you. Okay. So.
Point.
Okay,
so
then we're going to adjourn. So if they have council member comments, let them do them now.
Yeah, we are going to go into an
point
executive
of order?
session. Wait 1 minute, and I'll let you speak, okay? We are going into an executive session. Since we are not coming back out, I will say if anyone has any council comments at this time, to please say you want to make a comment. Anyone? Okay, anyone else?
Yes.
Down this side? Yes, Mr. Merwin.
I sent you an email, Madam Chairperson, in reference to the garbage. As you know, I am a proponent of bulk pickup. And in reviewing some of the surrounding towns, it seems that they have bulk pickup and recycling and garbage collection into one contract. And they're somewhat pretty successful with it. And it has created a savings to the taxpayers. And I would respectfully request that we put a committee together that that investigates this.
Okay.
So that we can get bulk pickup going. And
Well, I had spoken to you briefly about it, and, we had talked about it encompassing perhaps more than just council members. So I did reach out. I'm going to see exactly what the parameters are, how we can or can't go about doing that, and I will definitely get back to you.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
And
yes.
And I keep riding down Amboy Road, and every time I get down the Amboy Road, there's a big sign that says golf course on the Rose Farm property there. And it seems that it's become a forgotten idea. I don't know if that's something that maybe we could have the Recreation Committee or somebody look into to see if, we want to look any further into that.
Oh, I'm a member of the Recreation Committee, and I know this year we had discussed, starting to look in different areas and see if we wanted to, go down that path again, and it was possibility for discussion.
It was, okay, very good.
Well, actually, as I recall, about 2 years ago, we had looked into the possibility of starting out with a drive-in range, putting some money into capital. Mayor Henry, are we still doing that? With the driving range, are we still looking to put that to capital? And then we had designed it so that the golf course would still fit there.
Well, there was some preliminary discussion, the site evaluation that was done. I think the funding is still allocated in a prior capital. We can certainly look into that. Mayor,
We had some preliminary money allocated for design, and I believe once the design did come back, we saw that it was a lot more money than we were originally told it was going to cost. So it would be a major investment and a big part of our capital project budget to construct and operate a driving range.
Because some of the recreation people were mentioning at last meeting, and they wanted to see if there's a possibility of possibly going with the golf course, since we have so many fields in town already. Is that something we could possibly look into?
I think
though?
that, I heard that a recreation board is evaluating, you know, considering that evaluations and recommendations, and then we'll, you know, obviously, if you want to get involved building golf course, it's a significant investment now. 20 years back, when we looked at it, it was about $8 million of capital investment to build the golf course. I think it's going to be a lot more. Plus, I don't know how attractive, you know, they are now, since the golf, you know, industry is slowing down. But certainly we can, you know, we'll do another evaluations. The second attempt on the redevelopment agency was to have hire developers. And we did have an agreement, but the developers then decided not to continue that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Can we see that report somewhere that?
Yeah, I will try to relocate that. You know, they were in recreation, so I'll ask Matt to look into that.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Council comments?
Good evening. I just want to, you know, the chief, you happened to walk in, but I was going to say this anyway. I just want to thank the Old Bridge Police Department in light of everything that's going on throughout the country and the concern in the community. You guys are doing an outstanding job. I just want to let you know, you do what you have to do to protect this community. I'll always have your back. And sometimes in the process of doing that, you may anger a few people. But as long as you follow stay in the framework, as we both know the law, you always have somebody up here to give you support. And I also just want to remind people, I've been reading so much online. If you have intimate knowledge of a school security, please don't discuss it on social media for obvious reasons. I'm not singling anyone out. It's really important to keep that to yourself. I can tell you that school safety and everything is paramount. I know the mayor and I had a discussion about it. If you ever need anything, please email me. I'll discuss it with the chief and the mayor. Let's try to stay off social media about school security. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else down on this side? Okay. Dr. Greenberg?
I was going to let it go, but I just feel I have to say one more time. First of all, I just need to say to Mr. Shaw, I'm very sorry with the conduct and some of the things that were said tonight on the dais. They were nonsensical, they were unwarranted, and they were quite disgusting at times. I would have to say, before people question other people's integrity, they have to look within themselves. Mr. Shaw has served this town with honor for 25 years. He's always had the township's best interest at hand, and a lot of people didn't like that, but that's just the way that it is when you are in those positions. And for people to go out and say, to advertise for another business administrator in this time, as you know, the business administrator serves the mayor. So you go out and advertise again. They did advertise, they did interview people. In the volatile situation and in politics, you know that they are, and you see how it's displayed up on this council, and this is just one myopic situation. But when you go ahead and look what happens at campaigns, no one's coming here for 2 years. No one's coming here for less than 2 years. And then it's foolish for us as a council to think we even want someone else. There's a learning curve. Someone's going to come to our town. They don't know it. You want someone to start out, not know the town, things that need to be done, and things that happen all the time that can possibly happen, grave situations, and you want to wait till they understand the town and the players, meaning the people that work here and everything that happens. As I said, I asked the people who work close with him day by day. I asked the state, and I asked, and there was no problem, and it's being done all over to consolidate positions in towns, just like we talked about share services now. There's reasons for that. There is not enough money to go around. So now you want to get another business administrator, and you want to have benefits with that. That is a cost to the town that is totally unnecessary. I can tell you in a prior administration, there was a business administrator and there was an assistant business administrator. Wasn't needed. There was an attorney and there was also an assistant attorney. Wasn't needed. Also, right now with our clerk, she stepped up. We had a deputy clerk and a clerk. Times are tough. People are doing more with less. That means in work. People are working harder. There's lateral shifts, people doing other jobs because there is not money to go around. How much burden do you want to put on a taxpayer? That's all we hear all the time. Our taxes are high. We have an opportunity to put a person in a position without costing the town the money and the benefits. And you want to go out and go and do the charade again? It is wrong, and it is wrong, and I will say it one more time. Before you ever question someone else's integrity, look within yourself before you say this. This is the problem that's gone on in the public everywhere else. People do not know how to be civil anymore. They don't know how to speak to each other, and they don't know how to be polite. And there is a saying, and I'm sure all you've heard from all your mothers, if you don't have something nice to say, sometimes it's not nice to say, don't say anything. So I would wish that that would be taken upon all of us at the most opportune times. But this is wrong to do this, and I don't know where you're going with it. And I feel very sad, and I just wanted to take that time to say that I apologize, and I wish it didn't turn out this way, and I hope that people would reconsider, and we can bring this forward again and be civil and be decent and work together. Thank you.
Murphy.
Yes, I don't think anybody had a problem with the work habits of Mr. Shah. I think it had to do with having both titles. I understand you spoke to people. I checked into it. None of those towns had more than 10,000 people in them. This is a big town. I mean, I had no problem voting if he was going to take one job or the other. I didn't care. If he doesn't want to give up whatever that other thing is, the tenure, then, you know, I can't put him in the job there. Because then he's actually watching himself, which I don't have a problem with him doing that, but it's not right. It's not right to be doing both jobs. He's saying that it looks like he may be retiring at the end of the mayor's term anyway, so I don't see what the difference is. And the other thing, I'm just very upset about not hiring within the town. I would rather see people hired within the town and keeping the money here rather than always go outside the town and hire and things like that. I'm an Old Bridge person. That's just how I am. And that has nothing to do with Mr. Shah. It's just holding both titles. Thank you.
Anyone else? Council comments?
Yes, I think in this day and age, it's ridiculous to limit candidates to Old Bridge. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous. You can laugh, Mr. Murphy. It's not very funny. And you say you're going to keep the money in Old Bridge. I don't know what that means. But if you could open up a pool to more people, you're going to get a more qualified individual. But frankly, I don't think you're going to get someone more qualified than Mr. Shaw. We're almost at a AAA rating. I came to many council meetings before I was in the dais. This town was in very, very bad financial shape from things were done by previous administration. And now we're on the right track, and I wanted to continue on the right track, and it's just a very sorry day. Plus, we were going to save a lot of money by doing this, about $150,000 that could have been used on important projects around town. I think a lot of this has to do with politics, and it's a sin.
Okay, I'll close the comments by just saying that I also feel that we had an opportunity here to have someone represent us as the business administrator that did a very good job. And I agree with Dr. Greenberg. There's only 2 years, less than 2 years, to Mayor Henry's administration. He has shown that the mayor wanted him here, worked well with him, and thought that this was the right way to go. I don't think in 2 years it is. It's very difficult if you do find someone for them to establish a rapport or an understanding of a big community. We are a large community. That's why if we were a small one like South Amboy, you'd say, well, okay, that's a very small town, so it won't take that long to get a good feel. But how many people do we have here in Old Bridge? So you want to upset everything. We've been tracking in a good way. Our ratings are up. Our finances are in better order than they had been. Why? I question now, why are we doing this? We're saving money, and we have someone we know that's established. So sometimes you sit here and you think, well, maybe it is just on some people's behalf political, and I think that's very sad. And I really do think that the way he was treated tonight was not befitting a person of his stature.
Motion of going into executive session.
Second it. No.
I gotta read it.
Okay.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Old that the public shall be excluded from this meeting pursuant to NJSA 10:4-13 for the discussion of the following matters: litigation, contract negotiations, and personnel matters. Be it further resolved that this meeting shall not reconvene this evening.
Roll call. Roll call the session. No, it's okay.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscotti? Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.